Yeah. Huh? And that any of that is still with you now, just go gently. Yeah? Just go gently. Okay. Have a walk around. What do you remember about where the top of your head was? And come back to your mats. And this time on your hands and knees, but without your head on the floor. Without your head on the floor. And again, remember, one of the big things that's part of learning is, can I make myself any more comfortable in this position? So just really get a sense of how you organise yourself to take weight on your left arm, your right arm, your left leg, your right leg, the shape you're making in your torso, and where you have your head, just as you're resting there. So we're going to go back just a moment to see maybe how those movements that we've been doing for the past few days might influence where we're going to go now. So we did it mainly with your left leg, so let's start with that. So feel, how would you organise to swing your left leg out to the side? To the left. So that you're going to know you're lifting your knee, you're lifting your whole leg, and you're swinging it out so that it's pointing sideways. Yeah? Can you see that sort of familiar to the movement that we've been doing? So you're just you're lifting your whole leg, you're straightening it, and you're swinging it out to put your foot out to the left on the floor. And really notice, do you use your back or your belly to help you to do that? How do you lighten your leg? Do you engage your belly or do you engage your back muscles? Could you find your belly a little bit more for those of you using your back? And see, how does engaging, if you're going to arch your back or round your back, how does that influence whether your toes point or your heel? You come more to a standing leg position where your foot is flexed. So what's that got to do with what you're doing in your low back? Where does your pelvis have to go? And then once you've got it out there somewhere comfortable, could you begin to slide it a little bit forward or away from you, might be a better word than forward, and back towards you a little bit. And see, could your foot be flexed? So the sole of your foot would be sort of facing the opposite wall, the wall of the toilets, the wall of the bathroom. So the side of your foot's on the ground. And then along that trajectory, whether you're pulling it a little bit towards you or away from you, when would it be easy to lighten your left hand away from the floor? And maybe take it toward your knee, your left knee. And come back to your hands and knees. And just feel, has that made any difference to your being on your hands and knees? What's different? Do you feel more comfortable? Less comfortable? Did you effort a bit there, Glenn? Have a look what's happening in your neck. So is there anyone where that it's made it more comfortable? Okay, so now do the other side. So how do you now swing your right leg out to the side? What have you learnt in all those orientations on your back and your belly? How do you mobilise that from your middle, and how do your arms stay soft? So you know your arms are soft if your shoulders are moving through space. You know your arms are soft if maybe one elbow is bending maybe a little bit or straightening a little bit, so that you can really begin to feel nothing fixates, nothing has to post. And then you could slide your leg a little bit forward and back. Or, sorry, away from you and towards you. It's not really forward and back. And then maybe find somewhere along that trajectory where your right arm. So don't lift it unless you feel it's light. Don't worry about lifting it unless you feel it's light. And what's that got to do with what your head does? Was there anything, what were we doing with your head? Can you remember in the lesson that helped a lot? Was there something about the chin going forward? getting longer. So those changing curves. So where would your head need to go to most easily reach your right hand toward your knee or your foot? Where would it go? How would it move through space? Okay. So just pause for a moment. Keep going, Martina. Go on. Yeah. Yeah, out you go. And look how much this weight-bearing arm can have her shoulder in so many different positions and still be weight-bearing. Huh? And I think we've talked about that before. You know, first approximation is that everything has to get vertical. And then you find that you can really move the weight around, the weight-bearing thing. So that's going to be the same as we move on your head. Huh? That as you start to take more weight on your head, how do you find that everything above it can move, and not have to be so straight? Okay, so now on your hands and knees again. Put the top of your head on the floor. Place the top of your head on the floor. And again, if you need more padding, please get it. It makes a huge difference. And could you begin to find a way that most of you have got your head and your hands in a straight line? So could you find a way that you could begin to make a bit of an isosceles triangle so that your head can stay where it is, but your hands are going to move closer to your knees? So the top of your head and your two hands are going to be the base of the isosceles triangle. And again, find a place there where you know that you can roll your head a little bit forward and back, a little bit left and right, just a little bit. And that you can really feel that your arms respond to that. So your shoulders aren't fixed, they can go a little bit up and down, toward each other in a way. Just really finding that softness through your neck and the base of your neck. But that you can feel your hands are still weight-bearing. So that you're using your hands to weight-bear, but they're not fixed. They're adaptable. Yeah, that's looking good. Okay, so leave that and come back onto your hands and your knees only. Take your head up again. See if that's made a difference to this position. And then begin to flex both of your feet. So you're thinking of bringing your toes underneath to a running position. And really feel, what do you do to do that? Do you sit back a little bit to pull your toes under? Or does your pelvis go forward in space to put your toes under? So let's just look at that first, that forward-backwards movement. And what allows you to feel I can get my toes more under me? Is it your pelvis going forward in the direction of your head, or back a little bit in the direction of your heels? So again, this is one of those movements where you're really obviously paying attention, but you're really trying to sense in terms of how easily I can get my toes tucked under. That's sort of your movement criteria. How easily can I tuck my toes under? Is it where my pelvis goes backwards a little bit in space? Or when it moves forward? And then you've also got the movement of rounding or arching your back. So would it be easier to tuck your toes under when your lower back rounds, when your belly pulls in a little bit? Or when it arches? What would most easily get your toes underneath? What will most easily allow the back of your ankle to lengthen? Your calves to lengthen? So you've got those two combinations of the forward back movement of your pelvis and the rounding, arching of your pelvis. And just feel which allows you to tuck your toes more. So what are people finding? Pelvis forwards, arching.
Rounding.
Huh? Rounding. And where's your pelvis going? Forward or back? Backwards. Exact opposite. Arching backwards. Arching backwards. This is so much about how you use your pelvis and your hip joints. Huh? What's habitual. And that's why I'm really asking you to make very fine distinctions here. I won't talk about how long this took me to work out. Making clearer and having to always go back to the quality of the movement. So is it the habit that you're doing, that you know? So try it again. Head can do whatever it likes. Then. So you're trying to feel through yourself. What allows me to most clearly get the toes underneath me? And my heels to lengthen. So if I changed it a little bit and said, what would be easiest then if you were going to sit back toward a squat? What would you do then if you were going to tuck your toes under? So you're going to sit back towards a squat. What would help you to lift your knees most easily off the ground? What would you have to do with your pelvis and your back? It's going to lighten your knees. Okay, then try one foot at a time. Do your right foot only. You're just tucking the toes of your right foot under. Different? And again, if I said that just the right foot under, and again, you're thinking of doing it in a way that's going to help your knee to lighten a little bit. And then your left foot. Just go really slow. We're really looking at how this movement of your ankle goes through you. Something about bringing toes under, and then alternate. And really sense as you do this, as you begin to alternate, because we've got your hands standing, it gives you such an opportunity to feel all this different organisation through your upper chest. What's all that doing now that we alternate? Because now your shoulders should be doing something a little bit different to each other. See how it happens if you hold your arms really rigidly, if you really keep them straight and you try and do this. That you're really pushing into the ground, yeah? And then lighten it off. Feel that your arms have got weight on them, but they're adaptable. They can shift weight really easily. Okay. So now place the top of your head on the floor again. And could you do that same movement of your ankles with your head on the floor? And really just check, where do you want your elbows? Do you want them wide out to the side in this isosceles triangle? Do you want them more in by your side? And see, how does that go through to your head? To lift when you're more constrained with your head. How do you simply, all you're doing is lifting, putting your toes under, and then straightening them down again. And feeling, what do I do with my pelvis, my low back, the directions I'm moving in to help me get my toes tucked under? What's happening in my hips? And can you do it in a way, if you're not letting your head move much, let your head move more. And if you're moving your head quite a lot, see if you can keep your head a little bit more still. And notice, does anything change in this relationship of your chin to your chest as you do this? So that something could still maybe move in your upper back even though you're staying on the top of your head. It's great to see people exploring where they want their head to be. And then once you've found a really comfortable place to have both feet under, still on the top of your head, could you begin to lift your right knee a little bit? And put it down. Just a small, small, small. How do you go about that process of lightening your right knee? What do you need to, and can you feel it's going to have a lot to do with your right toes? And really feel, where does your knee go? Does it kick back long so it straightens your leg behind you? Or could you find a way that this very gentle straightening of your right knee could lift your pelvis a little higher into the air? So the lifting of your right knee could help you to lift your pelvis, the right side of your pelvis, a little bit higher into the air. Really have your toes tucked under. Your toes must be tucked under. Start with your toes under. Start with your toes under. So you're not lifting your foot. Your toes are tucked under. And then how would you lift your left knee? And where's your hip joint here? How's your knee? What's your hip doing to actually help you to lift your knee? Glenn says nothing. So are you trying to do it all from your toes? No? What's your hip joint doing to help you lift your knee? To help you get your pelvis taller. And then maybe you could just alternate. Once lift the left knee, once lift your right knee, and is your neck soft? Is the top of your head really clear? So that you're not rolling off the top of your head. There'll be a little weight shift there. No? It won't be staying exactly in the middle. Let it move just a millimetre or two. Have a rest. On your back. So, there we are. We've got your head on the floor. The movement we did before, the movement earlier, was that idea of your belly can pull in or push out, pull in or push out. So we're looking for this freedom in your torso, that you're not gripping onto your belly, or the back muscles aren't gripping, or the upper back isn't gripping. A lot to pay attention to. Okay, bend both your knees. Have them standing. On your back. And feel, in this position, which leg would be easier to lift a little bit off the floor? Which one? Just how would you lift your foot just a little bit off the floor and then down? And what do you organise through your middle to do this? What do you allow your chin to respond to this movement? Do you allow your neck to respond to this movement? Where does your pelvis go? So your pelvis might tilt in one direction to begin to lift it. It might then change its direction as you lift it higher. But can you be soft? Can your middle be soft as you do this? And that's got so much to do with what's going to happen through your upper back, your neck, your jaw. So feel the difference if you don't allow your head to move. Feel the difference if you sort of keep your head exactly in the middle as you do it. And then think of your 612 again. How could that movement of 612 be a part of lightening your leg? That every part of you And then could you begin to get the idea that as you lift your leg, so you lighten it, you lift it, you don't have to hold your breath, you allow it to go through, that it gets to a particular point and then you just let it drop. So you just let it drop. So you lift it and you let it drop. You lift it and you let it drop. So it's just giving up. It's falling in a way. You're letting it fall. And can you feel that your lower back can stay really soft as you do this? So see, what we're trying to get the sense of is that the drop is coming from your hip joint. The drop is coming from your hip joint rather than your low back. So you just lift a little and drop it down. And just explore that on one leg and the other leg. Looking for this incredible softness through your torso. It's just the look on your face, Trish. Where is the left hip? So as you drop it, you sort of get left with this sort of little oscillation through you, in a way. So how could you do both together? And feel free as you do this to do one then the other. Yeah? Really feel free that one lifts and then I can get the other one up, and then they maybe drop one at a time so that you're not holding your breath. Your belly is soft. Your back is soft. Your pelvis is moving. So as I said, for some of you, there might be a point where you lift one and then you feel the other one and then they go down. It's very light, and that you can really feel that you're landing on your whole foot. That as your foot drops, it's your whole foot that drops. And then you could go back to alternating, lifting one and dropping it, lifting the other one and dropping it. So all of you is involved in making this easier and comfortable, so that you really start to get this sense that I can drop or fall without having to tighten. So much of this series of lessons that we're coming to is about that. How do I begin to fall and not think that it's life-threatening? So it's really about being aware of that internal process of your self-talk maybe that's going on. It's finding an easier and easier way to do it. Okay, so what about if I next suggested that you lift both legs And again, it can be a sequence, as in one, then the other, or both together, as long as you're soft. And then as you drop them, your pelvis pops up off the floor. So as you drop them, your pelvis pops up off the floor. And really feel where your feet need to land to get this lift of your pelvis. So feel if your feet are going to drop a long way, and your feet would only be dropping a long way away if you weren't dropping them, but feel what happens if you think that your feet are going to end up further away from you. No, that it's not really a drop. Your legs aren't soft, but they're holding. And see how it's much harder then to lift your pelvis compared to if you can really let your legs drop. They'll get close to your buttocks and your bottom just pops up. And where does your pelvis get pulled as you do that? As you drop? Does it push your head away as you do that? Or as your pelvis lifts up, does it pull your head down? And you're just looking to find more and more softness, more and more ease. And gradually, if this is feeling easier, take your pelvis higher. And you'll feel that to get your pelvis higher, your legs will have to lift higher. No? But stay within what's really easy for you. Find your speed. And feel, where does your chin have to go? What's it? All these changing curves as your pelvis lifts. You feel how your chin is going to pull down towards your chest to allow your back to lift higher and higher. Okay. Have a rest. You're going to get lots of practice of this over the next few days. And again, the really important thing is, what are you learning from it? Come back on your hands and knees, just to finish. Find that isosceles triangle again. Tuck your toes under. Find that shape. Is it getting any clearer to you, what you do with your pelvis and your low back to tuck your toes under? And maybe you could begin to lift one knee and then the other knee away from the ground. And your pelvis is lifting high to do this. Pelvis is lifting high. Your shoulders are soft, responding. Your elbows, you'll feel one elbow will be doing something a little bit different to the other one. And then maybe you could just try lifting them both together. And thinking if that could lift your pelvis high into the air. So you've got that isosceles triangle. And leave it. Come up to standing. And what's that done to your sense of self? So what's an area of yourself that you notice that feels different? And then could you take a moment just to feel where it's different, and then maybe just key it into the areas around it? Has something different in that area influenced other parts of you? Have a walk around. Does something feel different in your legs and your pelvis? That lifting of your pelvis high and over your head. What's that done? And that'll do us today, and we'll see you again tomorrow. So before you finish, do the people who are teaching tomorrow want to work out where they're teaching? And Jen's also put up the chart for the ATMs next week. So if you want to start putting the contact names and numbers down for that. Absolutely. I'm teaching tomorrow. Sorry? Yeah, you're going to be there. Yeah, so just work out where you want to be. Yep.